Flails have been around since the launch of Terraria, and they've had many additions and changes throughout Terraria's updates, firmly cementing them into their own category of the melee class. But my question is, are they good enough to beat the hardest difficulty in the game alone? To find out, I'm gonna play on the For the Worthy Secret Seed on Legendary Mode, using nothing but a ball and chain, and hopefully a couple new additions in the 1.4.5 update will help make this possible. But where do we start? Well, basically with no weapon. We have a copper short sword and our regular tools, but I'm not going to use this copper short sword. We're going to use no weapons until we find a flail. Now, funnily enough, this is not the first time I've started this playthrough. In fact, I got all the way up to the evil boss before realizing that my recording looked like this. So yeah, needless to say, I'm not gonna upload a PowerPoint presentation. So that was like multiple hours of my life wasted, and I'm back here again, starting fresh. Really, I have two options of things I can do. I can either throw myself at the caves looking for the mace, or I can throw myself at the corruption looking for the ball of hurt. After dying to a couple of Eater of Souls, I decided to go back into the caves. Even if I don't find a mace down here, at least I'm getting a bunch of ores like tungsten, and I can make like a pickaxe and some armor to make my venturing a bit easier. And luckily, I'm finding heaps of tungsten. The world just keeps giving it to me, and eventually I find myself upon a glowing mushroom field. In here, there's many life crystals and a few chests, but unfortunately, none of them had the mace in it. I still don't have a weapon, but I do have full tungsten armor, a gold pickaxe, cloud in a bottle, a hook, so we're looking pretty good. I start digging down from my house, and there's a minecart track that actually leads me into the underground corruption, and I can see a shadow orb from here. So I smash it with a bomb, and obviously the first one drops a musket. I head back over to the corruption, dying a couple times, but I make it back into the corruption chasm, destroying another shadow orb, and I get the ball of hurt on the second shadow orb. This was way luckier than my last playthrough. I had to spawn in 2 Eater of Worlds to get the ball of hurt, and we finally have a weapon in this playthrough. I know I completely skipped the mace. The mace is a decent weapon, especially when you upgrade it to the flaming mace, but the ball of hurt is just better. So now all that's really left for me is just going into the caves, getting life crystals, and hoping to find some roller skates, since by now I'm sure we all know how freaking good the roller skates are, and they have not been nerfed. And before I know it, I come across the skeleton merchant who is selling the party roller skates. Unluckily for me, I don't have enough money, but I was able to sell some shoe spikes and afford it. And just like that, our movement is basically sorted. In the desert, I managed to come across a desert pyramid, which if there's a sandstorm in a bottle in here, will go so well with my roller skates. But of course, it's a freaking flying carpet, and that doesn't work with the roller skates. It's so annoying that not every world is guaranteed to have a desert temple, and not only that, it's not guaranteed to have a sandstorm in a bottle, which is just such a good item for a playthrough. We should start a petition to have the sandstorm in a bottle move to underground desert loot. Then people will have even more of a reason to go down there. Speaking of the underground desert, I headed straight there, and super quickly I found dig toys. But what I'm actually here for is my last couple heart crystals, maybe some amber for a better hook, and hopefully a magic conch and a bar statue. But that expedition was cut short by a goblin army. Luckily, I'm more prepared for this than last playthrough. Because I smashed shadow orbs so early to get the ball of hurt, I had basically no max health and I was getting pants. But it's really not that much different here. I do have more health, but holy crap, this is ridiculous. Things are dying so slowly. I'm getting hit by sorcerers and especially goblin archers. The arrows are ridiculous, and I just kept dying to these guys. It was actually insane, but it was finally defeated. I then decided to switch it up from all the sand and go to the snow. The only thing I wanted here was the blizzard in a bottle. I didn't find it, but I did come across a wired bat statue. Now, there actually is a weapon, technically considered a flail, that is dropped by bats, very rarely. So what I did was I rigged it up so that my flail was on the ground, basically instantly killing the bats, and I could just jump on the pressure plate and kill them constantly. The issue with this setup though is that it's not AFKable. So instead, I set up a pressure plate minecart track so that I could bounce back and forth, constantly spawning the bats while my flail kills them, just hoping that the weapon will drop. And what's funny is I got bat after bat, which is literally a lower chance of dropping than this weapon. And after over 6,250 cave bat kills, the chain knife finally dropped. Now I know that statue kills have a lower drop rate than what an actual bat would have. But holy crap, that was ridiculous. Also, spoiler alert, this thing's pretty bad and I barely used it. And you'll never believe it, a second goblin army arrived. This is just lovely. I freaking love it when they give me 2 of these, especially when my weaponry is just not that good at it. Finally, it was defeated once again. Please let there not be a third. After that, I kept throwing myself back at the underground desert, just wanting one bar statue, but I just kept freaking dying to this ridiculous place, but I was finally blessed with the bar statue. And after that, I used dig toys to find the shimmer, and while I was here, I actually got a whoopee cushion, which will be helpful for us. It's crazy that that was a real unironic sentence that I just said. With the Tinker's Bench, I did start combining accessories purely so that I could shimmer forge them and get defense reforges. Obviously, Spectre boots are useless with the roller skates, but I just need warding to stack up defense. And I combined the whoopee cushion with the cloud in a bottle to create the fart in a jar. It does provide quite a bit of vertical movement, but I also got the tiger climbing gear and the magiluminescence, which both don't really do anything. I mean, magiluminescence provides light around me, but yeah, I just wanted warding. And now we have over 40 defense, over 50 with an iron skin. Now, will this matter on legendary mode? Well, let's find out. I spawn in the Eye of Cthulhu, and we're not taking too much damage. Obviously, on master mode, I think we'd be taking like 1 damage, but here, while we're taking more damage, it's definitely manageable. Very quickly, I decided that the chain knife is not good. Now, the ball of hurt isn't terrible against the eye. The main issue with it is how slow it takes to come back to me, but it actually can be a bit of a blessing if I line it up so that it retracts as the eye is moving towards me, dealing damage multiple times. It's definitely not the best weapon I've ever used against the eye, but it's not the worst. Once the Eye of Cthulhu is in second phase, for some reason it does less damage, and I literally take 1 damage from it. I probably could have just face tanked this, although the servants do more damage than the eye, but considering how little damage I was taking, sometimes I just flail my flail around, spinning it around me and just dealing big damage, because I can tank it, bro. It kills these servants very quickly, and on top of all of that, they drop hearts for me. So yeah, eventually I just started spinning it a bunch, and he was dead in no time. Ridiculously easy. I didn't even have an endurance potion. And I also didn't reforge my ball of hurt, which I did after the fight was done. The best reforges for flails are actually 2, godly and demonic. Legendary isn't really on anything in the melee class except swords, which is a bit annoying, but it is what it is. I then headed into the underground jungle, and very quickly I found what I wanted, which was a sharpening station. This just increases our damage output by a little bit, but can't say no to that. It then started raining slime, so I thought I might as well try and take out the king slime. He is freaking massive, which is always difficult, especially as a melee player. This is a bit better than true melee, although some people would even say that a mace is true melee. I kept getting low with this fight. The random slimes that were spawning and blocking my path were contributing to that a lot, but I did manage to beat the king slime as our second boss. That doesn't happen much on legendary mode. I then made an arena for the Eater of Worlds. This is low-key like the final boss of the playthrough. I mean, obviously it's not, it's very early, but this is hard. But this isn't actually the first time I've fought the Eater of Worlds with the flail. As I said before, I got up to this point and beat it last time. The difference was, on that playthrough, I used the chillet, and that made a huge difference. I was able to like dash through the segments while spinning my flail, and it just made quick work of it. Now, there's 2 reasons I'm not doing that this time. First reason, I didn't find a chillet, but of course I could go find one. But the second reason is that the dash actually does damage, which means it is a damage source that isn't a flail. Does that feel true to the challenge? I guess not. It's kind of like a gray area. I don't know, but I felt like the damage was too significant to use against it, even though it was goated. So this time I'm not using the chillet, and it is taking forever because I'm predominantly only spinning the flail. This is because spinning the flail instantly destroys the Valve Spit. That is the main advantage to using a flail in this fight, is there is a lot, and I mean a lot of spit on For the Worthy. Like, it is ridiculous. And not only that, the Eater of Souls that spawn from the segments also shoot Vile Spit. And that is the reason why we are fighting this underground, because Vile Spit can only be broken underground. It can't be broken on the surface. So a surface fight makes this like basically impossible. This fight went on for way too long. I was trying to chip it down and be safe. I only got it to around half health before I died tragically. But I didn't know what else to do but spawn it again and try again. But this time didn't really go much better. It was taking forever. I was trying to slip in some thrown flails when I could, but every time it was a risk because there's just so much Vile Spit to keep up with, and the flail takes so long to come back to me that there's a huge window where I can get hit for big damage. And if I get hit by a head of the Eater of Worlds, then our health just drops. This time though, it did go much better than last time. Although we did die in the end, we did get it down to around a quarter of its health. The big thing that means for us is we got enough shadow scales to make a nightmare pickaxe. With the nightmare pickaxe, we can head straight into hell, pop an obsidian skin potion, and mine up that good old hellstone. The only benefit I get from this though is molten armor, but really I can't complain about that. I then decided I'd do some digging to look for a lava charm. While looking for it, I actually came across an imp statue, so that will come into play later. And finally, I did find a lava charm. I threw it straight in the shimmer, giving us a magma stone. Could I have farmed hellbats for that? Yes, but right after that endeavor, there was a blood moon. I farmed these enemies looking for a shark tooth necklace, which I managed to get 2 of. After that, we went straight back to the Eater of Worlds, seeing if we can beat it with our new gear, only to get immediately humbled. The new gear really didn't help at all. So, you know what? I decided I'm not gonna do this anymore. I don't have to fight this guy. What do I have to prove to him? I headed right over to the dungeon. I set up a big arena here. That's right, we're going to attempt Skeletron this early. We're not even gonna fight the Queen Bee, nor are we gonna fight the Eater of Worlds and defeat him. Really, the only benefit would be the Worm Scar. The best weapon that we can use against this spinning skull is the Ball of Hurt. Are we going to actually be able to defeat Skeletron on Legendary Mode with a ball and chain? That is severely underpowered for this stage of the game. Well, so far it's not going too bad. The enemies that are spawning on my platform are not helping. I am using a honey bucket in this fight to give me the honey buff, which as you can see increases my life regeneration by a lot. Honey is really good in this game, but I got double hit by the skull, leaving me on 2 health, and then I get whacked and I'm dead. So we buff up, try it again, get hit right off start. I'm using a feather fall potion here, which does help with our movement control. It lets us stay in the air a lot longer and manipulate my movement better. It is hard to hit these hands with Skeletron's movements, flailing them around. Sometimes I'll be able to get a hit in on the hand. Luckily they don't have too much health, but gosh man, like the flail is not very good at this. It's so short range and the hands just move so weirdly, but it's okay. We have a lot of time in the night and I just keep flailing it around, hoping that it'll connect. I take some big damage from Skeletron as he's spinning. We're down to like 100 health. It's not looking good. We will like instantly die to 1 contact hit from the head, which is exactly what happens. And once again, we've died. We try it again and get hit instantly twice, and then hit again and again and again, and we're already down to 60 health. It's so easy to lose so much health in this fight. This time though, we do have a calming potion to hopefully lower spawn rates, since the enemies spawning was a serious issue. We did manage to get our health back up. We're looking much healthier now. It's more of the same stuff, just flailing around, looking for openings where I can actually connect with my Ball of Hurt. It's not often. Midway through the fight, I also put down a peace candle, so enemies really shouldn't spawn at all. It should just be this boss. Eventually, I destroy one of his hands. The other one isn't quite destroyed yet, even though it's on a slither of health. It's just not dying. I took a couple hits, and finally the second hand is down, and a fallen star hit Skeletron. Didn't do crazy damage, but it definitely helped. And you may have noticed the dark casters that spawned were firing like water bolts at me. For some reason, they've just kind of disappeared. I'm doing this feather fall thing to get away from the platforms to avoid the dark casters. It seems to have worked, and it might have despawned them because they're not shooting at me at all. All I have to focus on is the skull and these homing skulls skulls. And once Skeletron's spinning, I can get a few hits in with the ball of hurt as it's retracting towards me. But seriously, this feather fall is just so good at keeping me in the air away from where the Darkcasters would spawn. And it's really making this fight so easy. I can't get many hits in when it's shooting the homing skulls. I'm more just focusing on dodging them. When he's spinning though, that's when we can do our big damage. I did get a bit complacent and got hit twice towards the end, which did get us low, but I had a heal in the bag. I started letting my guard down a bit too much towards the end, but it's okay. Our health is a resource. We might as well use it. As long as we don't run out of it, it's fine. And just like that, Skeletron is defeated, which is huge for us. It actually unlocks 2 weapons that we can use. So I headed straight into the dungeon looking for 2 things from these chests. I got an Aqua Scepter first, not useful. The ball of hurt was not doing me any favors down here. I had to keep going back to the dungeon, dying, and then going back again. But luckily, my second chest I opened did have the blue moon inside of it. A big upgrade from our ball of hurt. Now, the issue with the blue moon, normally in past updates, is it basically has no use. I mean, you can use it like for the dungeon, and that's it, since you get the shadow key and you can just upgrade to the Sun Fury. So that's exactly what we're gonna do. I headed straight to the underworld, opening shadow chests, not actually finding the Sun Fury for a long time, but eventually I did find it. And in 1.4.5, they actually changed the functionality of the Sun Fury and the blue moon. Now when you swing the Sun Fury or the blue moon, the other flare will swing in the opposite direction. Usually, if you're swinging sideways, it'll do that. If you're swinging down or up, they'll both swing down or up. It's a little confusing, but it's very cool. They have this synergy now. Whatever one you're holding will shoot out in front of you. So typically I will hold the Sun Fury. And also when you spin them around you, it spins them both, which does big damage. So I put it to work against the Eater of Worlds, and holy crap, this thing was tearing it apart. I was taking big damage though, but this makes a big difference compared to the ball of hurt. But I mean, even this wasn't enough to defeat the Eater of Worlds. I decided to fight it again. This time I was being more careful with it, but yet again, I lost. And again, I lost. And again. And again. Even with these new weapons, I am getting pantsed by this boss. But this time around, I actually decided to use the throwing mechanic more than the spinning mechanic, and it was working really well. There's also a mechanic with the flails where you can anchor it, where if you click again once it's thrown, it will fall to the ground. And this was actually proven to be really useful because I could use it to pierce through all the parts of the Eater of Worlds. And this time around, using that tech, it was defeated, finally. After that, I decided to head over to the underground jungle. There is a boss missing that we skipped before, but I think we can beat it now. I opened up a beehive and spawned in the queen bee. Now this boss really isn't too difficult if you can dodge well enough, and holy crap, this weapon is freaking good against this thing. Since I can line myself up so that she is above me, I can hit her with both of the flails, which is just insane damage. Her dashing was proving to be a bit dangerous, but in no time she was dead. I then started killing a bunch of imps to get a lot of imp banners. I got a tsunami in a bottle while fishing, and I started working on a minecart track as my platform for the wall of flesh. I had very quick building speed since I had the bricklayer and building potions, which trivialized building this, but I made sure I was on the edge of the world building this because that means there's no obsidian houses out here, which helps a lot since I don't have to worry about destroying those obstacles. And I was able to kill the underworld enemies pretty easily with these weapons. And with this long minecart track, I decided to take on the wall of flesh and see if it's possible without a funnel. I don't want to use a funnel, but I will if I have to, since this fight is so freaking ridiculously hard in legendary mode. If you're not using the most optimal weapon, like a knight's edge, it is very, very difficult. I mean, look how quick these fire imps are shooting their projectiles at me. Then we got the hungry, which I can barely deal with these flails before more spawn in. And then there's lasers too. So I'm doing practically no damage to the wall here. I can't get close enough with these flails. There's also leeches coming at me. It's just ridiculous. And after quite a long fight, I managed to do about 1,000 damage out of 28,000 damage to the wall. I don't know how I could ever beat this. I tried it again, not even close. I realized that I was getting knockbacked a lot, so something that could help is definitely an obsidian shield. But even with that and not getting any knockback, sometimes it's a bit of a curse because I just stay inside a damage source and I just die very quickly. And it feels like each attempt is just getting worse. I decided to do some fishing in an oasis in the desert just so I can get some medium food buffs buffs. And after 11 oysters, I got a pink pearl. I know that they made it more common, but holy crap, that was lucky. And obviously I made a galaxy pearl out of that. And yet again, I tried the fight. This time it was going a lot better, but still we only did 4,000 damage, and the fight gets significantly harder as you do damage. The hungry do more damage, the wall gets faster, it's just chaotic. So I buckled. I'm gonna make a freaking funnel. I don't care. This fight's ridiculous. I don't know how I'll ever be able to beat it without it. Maybe there's some way. If I threw myself at this constantly, fishing up these potion materials to make potions so that I can have the best chance I have, put bar statues down everywhere, put down campfires and heart lanterns, and bomb the whole of hell and hope that I could beat it. Maybe it's possible with enough determination, but I don't have that. So there's one way I know I can beat this for sure. It takes forever. It is not easy to do with hell enemies attacking me constantly and having to build a lot of blocks. But luckily something that speeds it up is lava pools. Since it's counted as a solid block for the wall, it does work for the funnel, so I can just use natural lava instead of placing blocks. But this still took forever. But the funnel was finally done, and I hooked up the dart trap timer just to stun lock the fire imps. And with the dart traps on, I spawned in the wall of flesh, and my funnel did not work. It didn't even funnel the wall. Luckily I didn't use my buffs there because I figured something might go wrong. So I made the funnel more funnelier, spawned in the wall again, and it turns out I got my dimensions wrong for the funnel. I actually just eyeballed it, and clearly I got it wrong because the fix for this was making the top 4 blocks wide. So I had to place a bunch more blocks, and after that it did work. The wall was finally funneled, but this time I forgot to turn on the dart trap timer, and as you can see, it makes a difference. I can't do this with just imp statues. The fire imps are ridiculous. This is ridiculous. So this time I remembered, and I spawned in the wall, took some big damage from the hungry very quickly, but with the Sun Fury and Blue Moon spinning around like this, it actually does good damage. The issue is I have to get very close to the wall though. But I've done this before with my pickaxe only. I just need to readjust when it gets a bit quicker, and we should be fine. It's speeding up a lot. It's taking a lot of damage. This is definitely possible. As you can see by its health, it is getting very low. It speeds up more and I get hit, and by the end it's so quick that I end up dying with it only at like 100 health left. But I know it's possible. With the difference of only 100 health, we can easily do this on the next attempt. I spawned it in again, doing big damage with our Sun Fury and Blue Moon. We're doing upwards of 800 to 900 damage per second sometimes if the hungry are stacked. It's very low. It's speeding up. I take a lot of damage. I get down to 8 health, heal up, and the wall of flesh has been defeated, finally putting us into hard mode. And it opens us up to more flails, significantly more than pre-hard mode. Now this is a normal playthrough where I'm once again smashing demon altars. So while I'm doing that, I'm gonna ask you guys to subscribe to the channel. I know we hit our goal of 100k. That was like my big thing. My subscriptions are significantly down recently though, because I haven't been asking. So please subscribe, please. I'm begging. I need that number to go up. I need big number, better person. So our world has cobalt, orichalcum, and titanium. None of that really matters to me, considering any armor I use will just use adamantite. Titanium armor fell off hard when they got rid of the shadow dodge. So I go ahead and do the ore grind. Luckily in 1.4.5 they made this grind better, and this is the first time I'm actually experiencing this. They made the veins a bit bigger, which is nice, especially for titanium, since the vein sizes were really small before. And once I had mined enough titanium, I shimmered it into adamantite, making a full set of adamantite armor. From there, I actually decided to make a mob farm. I dynamited out a big area for this farm. Now, the main reason I was here was to set this into an underground corruption, just to farm a bunch of souls of night. The issue was it was taking a very long time. The bats just kind of weren't dying, and they were hogging up the spawn rates, but I just AFK'd it for a while and got the souls that I needed. But first, I'm actually going to farm the desert over here. Now, the corruption in this world is creeping up on my base very quickly, but the upside is we do have a corrupt desert, and next to it, we have a hallowed desert. So right next to each other, we have the two things that drop the shards that I need, the light shard and the dark shard. It did take a very long time with these weapons. These enemies are not dying very quickly, but I finally got it, giving us what we need to craft the Dow of Pow. And I actually accidentally paused my recording and fought a bunch of corrupt mimics to get the chain guillotines, which are considered launched flails. I did it with the Dow of Pow. As you can see, I am fighting the corrupt mimic with the Dow of Pow. It is working. I am doing enough damage to kill it, but I do have the chain guillotines now. They are pretty good. They do consistent damage. They have good range for a melee weapon, so I'm pretty happy with it. But then a blood moon rises, and I actually do want this for a certain weapon, which is dropped by the blood eel, which I do fish up, but this thing is not easy. I mean, I died to it very quickly. I guess I'm just not used to its attack patterns because I died to it again and again, but I did finally defeat it, giving us nothing. Yes, for some reason, the Sanguini Star has a 100% drop chance from Dread Nautilus, but these weapons, which are the only weapons that actually drop from these guys, don't have a 100% drop chance. This weapon actually has a 12.5% chance of dropping. So I have to kill, on average, 8 of these before I can get the weapon on a timed event. If I don't manage to get a bloody tear to continue the blood moon cycle, I have to sleep and wait for it again. It is so infuriating. Luckily, I did get a chum caster eventually, which does increase the rate of which you pull up blood moon enemies. So that did help. On a regular playthrough where you're not confined to these limits, why would anyone go for this? Like, yes, this weapon is good, but it's such a freaking hassle and so rare that no one would go for it. And after many blood eels, the blood eel finally dropped the Drippler Crippler. Now, I would say this wasn't worth it, but it definitely is. This weapon is kinda goated. It's really good, especially for a flail. It shoots out this projectile of a spiky ball, and you can actually spam the spiky ball by spam clicking. It retracts the flail basically instantly towards you and still shoots out the spiky ball. I also got the KO cannon from a clown, but this thing is so garbage, it's not even worth switching to. So now I'm working on my accessories. I got some pixie wings, and I'm gonna farm some mimics since they drop very good accessories and a ton of money. And since I'm using the roller skates, I have like a free accessory slot, so I might as well put like the Charm of Myths in there. And while I was fishing, I managed to get the anchor, which was recently buffed in 1.4.5. It actually does this explosion thing, so it's not completely useless now, but I don't know if I'm really gonna use it at all. I then went and made an artificial crimson biome. This fulfills two things: Emo Piranha, which gives me rage potions, and it allows me to spawn in the Brain of Cthulhu. I low-key forgot that it was gonna flip me upside down, and there were werewolves after me, but I did just manage to beat it, which gives me a Brain of Confusion. And that helps with my issue of having just too many accessory slots. So now I am fully kitted up to take on a mechanical boss. We're gonna try the Destroyer first. I spawned him in, and with 4 swings of my Drippler Crippler is dead. It's that easy, bro. This weapon does infinite piercing. It's maybe one of the best Destroyer killers. Didn't kill it quite as fast as I killed it with the Orange Zappinator last playthrough, but it was close. So since I buffed up and I have plenty of time left in the night, I figured I'd take on the twins instead. Now here is where the chain guillotines come into play. I can use the Drippler Crippler, and I do a bit. It does do some good damage, but the chain guillotines is more consistently able to hit the small twins. And for the worthy, they are significantly smaller, so it definitely makes it easier to hit them, but the Drippler Crippler is especially good when they're dashing towards me, and the chain guillotines are good when they're kiting up and down. Surprisingly quickly, Spasmatism is in second phase, and I took some huge damage from Spasmatism. We're down to about 100 health, which is not good at all. Here I'm mostly using the Drippler Crippler, and I do manage to get a heal off, so we're looking better, but then he dashes right into me and hits me with his flames, and that's just guaranteed death. I mean, the Cursed Flames is a ticking bomb, and I'm gone. So I decided to destroy an entire mountain, giving me more space for this fight. I spawned in the Destroyer again just to get some more hallowed bars. Now I can get a full set of hallowed armor just like that. And I spawned in the twins quite a bit late into the night, so hopefully we can kill them in time. Once again, Spasmatism gets to second phase. The Drippler Crippler does have more range than the chain guillotine with its projectile, so I'm mainly using that because it's good for the dashes, and it's also good for when it's in the spewing phase. This time around, we're doing a much better job at dodging Spasmatism. I'm not taking huge hits, and with the chain chain guillotines, we do take down Spasmatism, and now it's just Retinazer. If I lose to Retinazer here, that would be pretty embarrassing. But yeah, the Dripler bro, this weapon is so hard to say. The Dripler Crippler is pretty good against Retinazer. Chain guillotines as well. Just whatever I feel like using here. They're both basically the same consistency against Retinazer. And just like that, with not much time to spare in the night, I was kind of stressing that I was gonna run out of time. The twins are down. I found a life fruit, turned it into an Aegis fruit just for some extra defense for this final mech boss. And this time around, in preparation for the prime fight, I'm actually using chests instead of dresses. I feel like they are better than dresses. A big reason is the dresses actually have a platform on them, which is just really inconvenient. It messes up my movement. I didn't really bother putting chests along everything. I just didn't have that many, but I had them along the top layer and the bottom layer so that hopefully he doesn't bomb absolutely everything I'm worth. And that's the only gimmick Prime actually has in this fight. Apart from higher contact damage and more health, it's the same Prime fight. So yeah, it's really not going too bad. We're doing good damage with the Dripler Crippler, really chipping him down really quickly. And we destroyed the laser hand very quickly, which might be the hardest part of this fight. And yeah, there's not much else to say. Dripler Crippler just doing its job. Skeleton Prime defeated, and he managed to blow up my entire house. So now I just laid in bed, chronically doom scrolling, wasting away the days until life fruit grows, and went through the jungle getting life fruits. This is the same thing. It's one of my least favorite parts of this game. It's really an annoying grind. I also fought the wall of flesh so that I could make a fire gauntlet. Then I got to work dynamiting my jungle for an Osagoth tunnel. And just like that, we're ready to fight Plant Terror. First phase, not a problem. I don't even need a big area for this. It's really no issues. I was basically just spamming the Dripler Crippler, getting close to her so that my flail and the projectile were hitting her. At least that was the idea. I think it was working. I then accidentally magic mirrored, but luckily she didn't even despawn. And with the new 1.4.5 change, you can use pylons in boss fights. Soon after that, I headed straight into the tunnel and she got into second phase. I did take a bit of damage, but it's alright. For this part of the fight, I'm just shooting the Dripler Crippler up. I'm trying not to get hit by its tentacles that are vibrating because they do a lot of damage, as you can see. But she's almost dead now. She's getting very low. This is proving to be pretty effective, but I've run out of Osagoth tunnel here. So I'm gonna have to free ball it. And then a jungle creeper stun locks me with a for the worthy special of getting you stuck in a web. But luckily for me, I dodged a contact hit from Plant Terror, but then I got hit, leaving me on 60 health. And thank goodness for the cross necklace and a brain of confusion dodge, because I would have been long dead without those. And Plant Terror is barely defeated. But the issue is, I'm not done with Plant Terror. Plant Terror drops a flail, so I have to keep attempting it. The second attempt goes just fine, but I don't get it. Third attempt's going alright as well, but I also don't get it. I get the whip. I'm running out of Plant Terror's bulbs now. I beat her again and get the Venus Magnum, and then the whip again. They made the loophole of Plant Terror by adding a whip in the latest update worse. It is worse than the Golem. I didn't think that was possible. On the next Plant Terror fight, I did a reverse Osagoth tunnel, and luckily that one drops the flower pow. I've like never actually used this weapon. I didn't really even know it shoots out petals. There are some situations where the Dripler Crippler is gonna be better than it, but it was worth grabbing. I then created an artificial dungeon for post Plant Terror. This made it much easier to farm these items than it normally would be. And it turns out that I can mostly cheese with the flail. I can like swing it against a wall and petals will shoot out even though I'm behind a wall, but I still manage to die by usually the like wizard type enemies. I spent a long time farming this. I did want ectoplasm here, so that meant that the dungeon spirits were spawning, which did make this quite a bit harder since they go through walls. I kept getting paladin's hammers instead of the paladin's shield, which was very annoying since it's a lower drop chance, but yet I persevered until I finally got a paladin's shield. At that point, I'd gotten everything I needed. Now with Plant Terror defeated, the next step would be Golem. That would be the normal course of action. As per usual on my For the Worthy playthroughs, I used illuminant paint to light up the temple to make the fight somewhat easier so I can actually see stuff and you guys can actually see stuff. And then I attempted to fight the Golem. And suffice to say, it was not going very well. We were taking a lot of damage. My survivability is quite good, but still, damage was a lot and I hadn't even detached the Golem's head from his torso before I died. So I decided to change course a bit. I took on the Pumpkin Moon. This wasn't easy, but I didn't need to kill any pumpkins or anything. All I needed needed to do was kill some morning wood, which is exactly what I did, and very quickly I got the witch's broom. And I went over to the glowing mushroom biome, picking up some truffle worms, and yeah, that's right, we're gonna go straight for Duke Fishron. If I can beat Duke Fishron here and get our final flail, that will make the golem, which is significantly harder on For the Worthy and a big roadblock for us, much easier. The issue is I have to beat Duke Fishron with a flower pal, which isn't too bad, albeit we're doing decent damage, I guess. But for Duke Fishron, this is taking a long time. Luckily, this fight is not too hard. Even with Witch's Broom movement, if I position myself correctly, the dashes won't collide with me. But if I don't, I take some huge damage. Now Duke Fishron is in second phase, which is just more of the same, more dashing, more sharks. I'm getting hit now and then, and eventually it adds up to too much damage and I'm dead. But I'm pretty sure I can do this. And I decided to switch gears onto the Empress of Light. Since my movement with the Witch's Broom is just too bad, a soaring insignia would be pretty goated. But this fight is taking a long time. But luckily, I'm very good at it, so I'm not taking much damage. After first phase, second phase gets a bit more hectic. I did start taking some big damage, but I can always bring it back. The damage was not great, but it was enough to be able to chip down the Empress to finally kill her. And now with the insignia and bone wings and Master Ninja gear, we have much better movement. We do have less damaging and survivability accessories on than we did before, but I am much more confident in not getting hit by Fishron now. This time around with this movement, we're not getting hit, and he gets into third phase. And this isn't going too bad. I do get hit, but apart from that one hit, we don't get hit again, and we have defeated Duke Fishron. The problem is, the Flare-On has a 1 in 6 chance of being dropped. So, of course, I got the bubble gun, meaning we have to fight it once again. On this second fight, we actually got the Duke Fishron wings. So that sorts our end game wings, but of course we got the wings before we got the weapon we wanted, because I got yet another bubble gun, defeat him again, and I got the electric eel this time. Now remember, these fights are long. They're legitimately like 6-minute fights each. Next fight, I get the tsunami, and then another bubble gun, and then a tempest staff, and another tsunami. I've killed 8 of them at this point, and then just to rub salt in my wounds, another bubble gun. But you'll never guess what I got on the next one. That's right, another bubble gun. Can I catch a freaking break? No, I can't, because the next one, I get a tsunami. And you'll never guess what I got on the next one. An early delivery straight to my coffin. And now I have beaten 12 Fishrons and got an electric eel. I am over double odds now, and I died again. And I beat him once again, and guess what I got? I mean, can I even write this stuff? Like, I'm so over it. And on the 14th Duke Fishron, I get the Tempest stuff. Another bubble gun. This just keeps going. It just keeps freaking going. And then I died in third phase. And finally, after 16 Duke Fishron fights that take 6 minutes, I get the Flare-On and a second pair of wings. Who doesn't want a second pair of wings? I mean, it's just amazing. So we're finally over Duke Fishron. We can progress. And new to 1.4.5, you can right-click it and get the Flare rune. This just turns it into a launched Flare-On. It's kind of like the old Flare-On that never used to spin. So now you have the option for it. It's not that useful. I think it might be slightly better against like single targets, but you can't just spin it around to spawn bubbles like you can with the Flare-On. It at least adds some versatility to the weapon, and I can't complain about that. But this weapon is actually good. Here I'm mainly using the Flare rune, testing it out, seeing how it is, and for this boss, it is actually probably best to use the Flare rune. The launched flail is doing a good job. It's funny using it against him because he's basically shooting a launched flail at me with the golem fist, and I'm hitting him back with one. But yeah, the damage is significantly higher than the flower power was doing. It was definitely the right choice in getting this weapon. While the golem is incredibly hard on For the Worthy, it's small, it's dark, he jumps around, does lots of damage, had no match to my Flare-On. I then fought him a second time, getting the Sunstone, and a third time giving me the Golem Fist, which is the last flail that I wanted to get. Unfortunately, I don't think it even matches to the Flare-On. Obviously, the Flare-On is meant to be gotten at a later stage of the game, so it's not a fair comparison at all. But the Golem Fist was buffed in 1.4.5. It actually creates a shockwave now, and the fist and shockwave have a chance to inflict confusion. So it's kind of like the anchor buff, and it creates its own little niche scenario for usage, which I like. And now we've got everything we need to take on the lunatic cultist. It's not going too bad. The Flairon's doing some good damage to him, and I stupidly hit the wrong lunatic. I guess I'm low-key blind. Now the Golem's Fist was actually very good for taking out the Phantasmal Dragon, so I will give it that. It was pretty quickly melting the lunatic, doing big damage. The bubbles are definitely doing their job. It's definitely not the most damage I've done in the melee class for lunatic cultist. That would go to the Starlight, but it's also not the worst. And as long as I hit the right lunatic... Oh, okay, well, that's fine. He's almost dead anyway. After defeating the lunatic cultist, I spawned in the Solar Eclipse. This was in hopes of getting a Moonstone and a Neptune's Shell, but I didn't get it, so I went over to the Solar Pillar, clearing it out relatively easily. I did die a couple times, but the Flairon definitely was a decent weapon for this. Now, before you say it, from the Solar Pillar, there is the Solar Eruption. Some people would claim that this is a flail, and I get that. It kind of acts like a flail, and I'm kind of surprised it's not considered a launch flail, but I guess it's just different enough. It's actually considered an other melee weapon. Now that it's daytime again, I spawned in the Solar Eclipse, and I did just manage to get what I needed to make the Celestial Shell. I cheesed the Vortex Pillar. It's just such an easy cheese. How could I not? The Nebula Pillar was kind of annoying. With this pillar, I just kind of fly in circles and swing my weapon around until they die. It's really as simple as that. And then with the Stardust Pillar, I just reproduce a bunch of cells until the shield's down. It's simple as that. With all the fragments in hand, I made the super healing potions, even though they're not that much better than Jungle Juice. The extra 20 health per heal could make the difference, I guess. And I await the Moonlord's arrival. As the top eye is open, I'm just hitting it a bunch with my Flairon. I need to single this thing out because in For the Worthy, as I keep forgetting, now the Death Ray shoots moon boulders. These things are so deadly. If I'm not cheesing it, which I don't do a nurse box, I don't teleport away so that the boulders do nothing. They get spread out in an unpredictable way, and then they bounce like crazy high. It's so unpredictable and hard to dodge. Every laser is a gamble, but I am doing pretty well here. Unfortunately though, this weapon is not doing crazy damage to the Moonlord. It's taking a while, and I'm going to have to dodge a lot of moon boulders. This is exactly why I choose a large world on these playthroughs though, specifically for more space in the Moonlord fight when I'm flying in the sky. I need more space for these moon boulders to bounce, and then I realized something that I can do with the top eye. I can spin my Flairon and get real close to the top eye. It spawns out the bubbles still, and I'm hitting it with the Flairon itself. This actually makes a big difference. Our damage quickly soars from it, so we have completely changed strategy here. Every time the Moonlord's eye is open, we're flying upwards and hitting him with the Flairon. When the boulders come out, that's when we're falling down so that we can repeat it and fly back up. I did get hit by the Moonlord's Death Beam though, which did do a lot of damage, and now we're well under half health. But if I'm more careful, like the next time, it's going much better. I'm just very scared of these moon boulders. They do a lot of damage. Once the top eye is open again, we're just pummeling it with our Flairon. I'm feeling a lot better now about the damage. It's just a bit more risky to be playing in the middle of the Moonlord like this. I do get down very low, but fortunately for us, this is the hardest part of the fight by far. If we can destroy that top eye, the fight will be so much easier on us. It's getting so low, but we're not going to be able to destroy it this time around. It opens up. We luckily dodged the moon boulders, and even on this cycle, there's still just too much health on the top eye that I can't do it, and I have to dodge these moon boulders. And that Slither just has more health than it looks like, man. Like, it feels like it should be going any moment now, but it just keeps surviving. And I got under 100 health. Luckily though, we chugged a healing potion, and I just dodged those moon boulders. And cycle after cycle, this top eye is just not dying. dying. I then got hit by a rogue moon boulder that bounced off a living tree well after the death ray, which did like 200 damage to me. The top eye is ridiculously low now. We dodged the moon boulders here, and luckily, finally, on the next cycle, the top eye is destroyed. Instantly afterwards, we destroy the left eye. The right eye has a bit more health, but we do destroy it. Now, all the True Eye of Cthulhu's are out. This can be dangerous, but if we stay on the run, we should be just fine. The issue is we're near the edge of the world. We're at the dungeon now, so I'm going to have to turn around, which does put us in a danger zone. But we're doing good damage to the core, chipping him down pretty well. The core's down to half health when I have to turn around, but luckily we get out unscathed. The only issue is that there will be death rays that we have to dodge now, and a lot more projectiles, as the True Eye of Cthulhu's can catch up easier since we haven't got enough distance on them. I do get hit by 2 death rays in a row, but we're still over half health. And we keep on the run, just doing damage to the core, and history has already been written. Just like that, the Moon Lord is defeated, and that claims us the victors of Flails only 1.4.5 legendary mode for the worthy. I then went and beat Deerclops, the final boss of Terraria, and the Queen Slime. And yeah, I hope you guys enjoyed the video. I've got another For the Worthy legendary mode challenge coming out next, so keep on the eye for that. Subscribe if you want more. Become a member down below. It's really cheap. You get some benefits. And thank you to our current members being Retrack41, the Mad Potato, and Chincorn 4840. Thanks for watching, guys. See you next time.